What's up, this is Scott with Level Up Tuts, and today I'm going to be talking about Mixins in Sass for your 4th Sass tutorial. And what Mixins are, they're sort of like variables, but for larger chunks of code. And they're really powerful because you can even pass in arguments. This comes in handy if you have code that needs to be repeated or even modified in a slight way, and you don't want to have to rewrite all of it. One thing that comes, off the top of my head is the example that we're going to be doing is going to be using border radius. And border radius is a good example because we need these vendor prefixes to have the code work on all browsers. And although, something like this can be taken care of with another application, Compass, for instance, if you want to look into more Compass, you can check that out. I'll be doing tutorials on that later. But for now, I'm going to show you how to do this functionality in Sass. So I grabbed this border radius code here, and we're going to make this into a mixin so that we can use border radius throughout our code here without having to retype all 3 lines of the vendor prefixes every time. As you can see, as we did here for this background gradient. See how it's sort of cluttering up our SCSS. This will just make things a little bit easier to navigate. The only thing I really did to change this file since last time is I put a div with a class of intro around this first paragraph, and so I'm saying this paragraph is the introduction paragraph. As you can see over here, I gave it a background color of 333, and then I also gave this link a rollover state, hover state, and I changed its background and colors just so it stands out a little bit more on this black background, or this gray background. So what we're going to do first is, using this code from CSS3 please, which is the vendor prefixes, we're going to make our mixin, and then we're going to include our mixin wherever we want to use it. So to define a mixin, what you need to do is you need to do the @ sign and then mixin, and then the name of your mixin. And we're just going to call this border radius to keep things nice and easy. And then here, you have to, well, you don't have to, you can make mixins that are just static, and you can just reuse them over and over again. But here you have the option of declaring a variable or an argument that you can pass into this mixin so that you can reuse this code and have it changed to the way you want it to be. So to do an argument, you just do the same way you do a variable in Sass. You do $, and because this is the radius, we're going to do radius. And what's a really nice thing is if you want to provide a default argument, all you have to do is do colon and your default argument. We'll give this a default of, well, let's do something bigger. Let's do like 20 pixels as the default. And then we're going to do brackets, and inside of the brackets is where your code goes. I'm going to get rid of this these comments here, just so they don't clutter this up. And so where you have your radius here, you can put your argument, and therefore whenever an argument is passed into this mixin, it's going to use the argument. And then if there's no argument passed in, it's just going to use the default of 20 pixels. Alright, so we have that. Okay, I'm going to check Sass to make sure there's no errors. It looks like on line 6 it expected a... Oh, you're not supposed to put a semicolon here. That's my fault. Okay, so now we save it, check Sass again, and we're all good. Nothing's going to change here because we haven't told any of our code to use this mixin yet. So to do that, it's really easy. In the first example, we're just going to use the default argument, so we're not going to pass it anything. Let's see, within the grad div, we are going to say @include, and then we're going to do border radius. And then we can just do a semicolon here because we're not passing it any arguments. I save that out, refresh, and you can see our div now has a border radius of 20 pixels. And now we want to add that again to our intro. All we have to do is copy and paste this below, refresh, and our intro div now also has a border radius of 20 pixels. So let's say we want to add a border radius to this background color on this link right here. But we don't want it to be 20 pixels. We want it to be something more like 10 pixels. What we can do is we can paste this add include border radius right here. We can do parentheses and we can pass it an argument. So I'm going to pass it 10 pixels. I'm going to save that, refresh, and as you can see, this now has a border radius of 10 pixels. And that's it for Mixins. In the next tutorial, we're going to be going over selector inheritance, one of the other functions of Sass. And then after that, we'll be getting into some compass and some more advanced applications of Sass. As always, if you have any more questions, feel free to leave us a comment or send us an email. Also feel free to subscribe if you want to see more videos, or you just want to, keep track of what we're doing. This is Scott with Level Up Tuts, and thanks for watching.